We kicked off this Life in Focus student devotional series way back on March the 23rd, which seems ages ago now. But I kicked us off on that first day, and come to think of it, this is probably the second day of this quarantine that I've put on makeup, and you're welcome. You know how at first it's really fun and your kids are like, oh, you're so pretty, Mom, you're beautiful, you don't need makeup. And then about the second or third week of quarantine, you guys are like, hey, Mom, maybe you should put some real clothes on and fix your face. No, just kidding. My kids are really sweet. They don't say that at all, but maybe it's just how I feel. But anyway, I want you guys to realize and appreciate that since March the 23rd, you have had 30 leaders bring you devotionals, and that is not including Keith's messages on Wednesday nights. We are so thankful for our youth team and the way they invest in you guys and the good wisdom that they bring to you. But wow, that's an amazing thing. But today I want to talk a little bit about a verse from Matthew that means a lot to me in my life. And actually started to focus on that verse many years ago. We were in Jackson, Tennessee, and I had a friend that was moving away, and some people put together kind of a going away party for her. And they brought in a lady that was going to do a painting project with us, and she wanted us to make a tree on a canvas. And so she started to give us step-by-step instructions on how to make this tree. And I think she was getting frustrated with some of us, well, mostly me, because I wasn't really following her instructions to a T at the speed she wanted us to. And it was really because I'm a person that likes to see the whole big picture of something before I break it down into the parts that will make it happen. And it's just how I am. So I wanted to see what her tree was going to look like at the end before I started my tree. But she, poor dear sweet lady, she would make some comments like, now some of you are getting a little behind. You need to catch up and get to the step that we're on. And I knew she was talking straight to me. And I'm so sorry that I was frustrating her. But I wanted to see what she was going to do before I started on mine, because I might want to make it a little different than hers. I don't know. It's just me. But we finally got the trees done, and she encouraged us to choose a verse to put on the canvas. And so I chose this verse from Matthew 11:28. It says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." And at the time, I was a young mom with 4 young children, and I probably hadn't gotten a complete night of sleep in around 10 years at that point. Because my theory is that young children make a plan during the day of the shifts that they're going to take at night to wake their parents up. So they do that in shifts. Anyway, just my theory. But I was a young mom who desperately needed rest. And so my focus on that in that verse was rest. Jesus, I need rest. I need it now. But since then, I've studied that chapter a little bit more, and it kind of helps give it a fuller understanding if we know what's going on in the chapter. And if you have time, go back and read chapter 11 and see how this all makes sense together. But what's happening is that John the Baptist is in prison at this point. And I don't know if he was kind of questioning the authenticity of Christ in his current situation, or if just his disciples were needing some confirmation of who Jesus was, seeing that, you know, the person discipling them is now in jail. That would be a hard thing. But whatever the case was, John the Baptist sent disciples to Jesus to ask, "Are you the expected one, or should we look for someone else?" And Jesus answered them this way. He said, "When you guys went out to see John the Baptist, who were you looking for? Were you looking for a philosopher that was just going to tell you which way the philosophical trends of the day were blowing to speak to you about what culture should think? Were you looking for a rich and powerful man that was going to be a leader for you to lead you the way that you wanted to go? That's not who you found. You found a prophet. You found a messenger straight from God, and he was pointing you to me, to Christ." He said, these are the things that you saw. You saw me give the blind sight, heal the lame and make them walk, make the deaf hear, even raise the dead, and the poor have heard the gospel. This is who I am. Look and see who I am. And he looked at their generation and who they were, and he compared them to children sitting in the marketplace, playing the flute, and nobody was coming to dance with them. Playing sad songs and no one was coming to mourn with them. Here they were inviting people to play their games and nobody wanted to play. And they ended up pouting and looking for people that would play the games that they wanted to play. He compared them to these children and said, you went looking for John and he didn't look the way you thought he was going to look. You thought he was weird. He wore clothes of camel's hair, he ate locusts, he's living out in the wilderness, and you thought he was weird. He said, you saw me, maybe I was a little less strange, and you saw me eating and drinking with people you didn't approve of, and then you decided that you weren't gonna pay attention to me either because I wasn't what you were looking for. But look at all these things that I've done, he said. And it's kind of the same for us today. We know that your generation is really looking for answers. You're asking questions like, where did I come from? Do I have any meaning and purpose? What's my identity? What am I supposed to do in life to make a difference? How am I supposed to live? What things are right and wrong, and how do I know? And we have these restless souls that are looking for answers. And he said, you really have to become like children, but not children that want to selfishly play their own games. Children that innocently look to me for the answers. And that's when he says, if you're restless, come to me and find your rest. My yoke, this heaviness, these answers that you're looking for, my yoke is easy. My burden is light. Come to me. And it reminds me of a book I read by C.S. Lewis called Surprised by Joy. C.S. Lewis was an atheist for most of his life, and he ended up coming to Christ. And the reason was he was looking for what he described as joy. But he said true joy is an ache for something beyond this world. He compared it to a hummingbird. This hummingbird comes in with his precise little bill and gets the nectar out of the flower, and then he darts away. He's satisfied for a moment by that nectar in the flower, but he's always dashing around looking for more. It pricks and then it vanishes, and it leaves this longing and this mystery, and that's what joy does for us. We feel it for a moment and it's gone, and it leaves us always wanting more. And he says the world is not the place that's going to fill that for you. Joy is never in our power, and pleasure often is in our power. So that's where we go to look for the answers that the world might have to offer. But C.S. Lewis discovered that joy was not an event or something that he could be or an experience. The joy he was longing for and the answers were in a person, and that person is Christ. And that's why Jesus says, come to me, and you will find that rest that you're looking for in your soul. In verse 29, it says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. And that's from a verse in Jeremiah that says, stand by the roads and look, ask for the ancient paths where the good way is, and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. Everyone is looking for answers, but we have the answer. The answer is in the first part of this verse that I missed. I was looking for the rest, but I missed the part that said, come to me. And it was when I started looking to Jesus to satisfy the longings in my heart and the answers, and even coming to him with my weariness, that he provided the rest that I needed. So take that to heart today and let it encourage you. And I hope that you will look to him for the answers that you're searching for.